John Teffo now. He's the Labour Relations Manager at the Public Servants Association. John, thank you so much for joining us. You know, listening to President Ramaphosa talk about the importance of the alliance, which of course is the ANC, the Communist Party here in South Africa, and the umbrella body COSATU. Obviously, PSA is not part of COSATU, but do you have a problem with the fact that such a big umbrella union is essentially tied into a political relationship? Do you think it's doing the workers a disservice generally?
Good evening. We have said as the PSA for many years that the alliance between the unions and political parties dilute the battle for workers, because the issues, problems and the plight of workers are not actually at the center of the agenda of the alliance. We have seen, and it doesn't take one to be a professor or anything to understand that we are going towards 2024, where there would be national elections, and the work of that idea or work of that election has started now. We have got a huge problem, and we've said to workers, they must not be fooled to think that their emancipation or their freedom from issues that they are dealing with, the answers lies with politicians. Answers are not there. They are within the workers themselves. Hence, as the PSA, we took a decision to only be apolitical, to be a union that is dealing only with issues of workers.
However, if you listen to the message from COSATU President Zingiswa Losi today, and I'm quoting from her speech, she says, "We celebrated essential workers by pickpocketing public servants of their 2020 wage increase, by firing nearly 600 macro employees for demanding a living wage, and for daring to join Sakawu, by forcing mine workers at Sibanye to go on strike for over 6 weeks, merely to receive an additional 150 rand a month." She's not exactly holding back on the problems that workers are facing. Do you think that perhaps actually COSATU is managing to tread quite a difficult line at times?
Look, it's a difficult balancing act for those that are involved in the alliance. You would have noticed that last year they could not allow the ANC leaders to speak at their conferences and so forth. So it is a reality. We're sitting, for instance, with healthcare workers that are earning 3,500, and we have called government to actually absorb them, employ them permanently so that they can get the real salaries, they can have benefits, and that is the issue. You're sitting now with government that operates at less than 50% of the staff complement. You actually have to have that to ensure that you either want to prioritize the politics of the alliance or deal with the issue or the agenda of workers. And that is why we are saying the alliance cannot solve the workers' issues, but the unions that actually deal precisely with workers' issues could get the answer for that. And even the president, during 2020 debacle, when we ended up at the Constitutional Court, we have not had president saying anything. When there was a problem, even last year, and we went on strike and everything, the president did not stand up to show that he's a president who is pro-workers. So the last point that I want to make, you would remember that workers during COVID-19, essential service workers, the frontline workers, put their lives on the block for all of us. But what did they have? Only meaningless words from the president and his parliament.
And there is, yeah, and I think there's a great deal of bitterness across a number of unions about that. What is your role as a union in this current environment? We know that everyone across the board is battling financially. We know that government does not have enough money to give the increases that they say they would like to. We know that many workers do not get enough, that, as you mentioned, the health workers, they deserve better. We also know that state institutions, state hospitals are crumbling. How do you navigate that responsibly as a union? What is your role in 2023 South Africa? Because simply pushing for an all-out strike doesn't achieve anything except destruction, more destruction on destruction. Is there a way to navigate this so that everybody wins, or are we actually in a lose-lose situation?
Look, the strike is the last resort. It's something that we do not want as union. It's something that employer does not want. It's not good for our country that we are told we are trying to build. But if you're dealing with an employer that sometimes does not want to listen, remember,
sure,
we have got other demands that are what we'll call non-financial demands. You can't tell me that you are failing to provide basic security. Nurses are being killed in their workplace. There's a very poor security. People are working in dilapidated buildings, and they are sick because of the very poor, conditions of where they are working. And we've made simple call to say one of the things that is a problem is this thing called tender system. The issue of buying a bread for 30 rand when bread is 15 rand or 20 rand because we've put somebody on a tender system, it's a problem. Let's deal with these basic things that can then be insourced, can be dealt with by government, buy directly from the suppliers. We have got big correctional services that where there are farms, they can even have bakeries there. They can provide, these basics to the hospitals. In that way, you are able to make sure that you are not wasting money, because our issue is that government is forever saying there's no money, but they are not behaving like people that do not have money. And workers are no fools, because they are looking at this thing. We are talking about corruption, that every day, when you refer to COVID-19, I mean, what kind of government? They steal money, even that is meant to help people. People are dying to steal money, but burying people to steal money. So we are saying we have not seen the commitment from government. And we are not destructive as unions. We would like to sit around the table, but we cannot talk forever when government is actually not wanting to listen.
So you would like to be able to trust that government is working smartly and to save costs rather than splurging on perhaps tenders, as you say, that actually just inflate prices. And that is perhaps one way where unions can really make their presence felt. And thank you so much for chatting to us on Workers' Day. As you reflect on the different challenges facing unions when times are tight. John Teffo, their Labour Relations Manager from the Public Servants Association. Now,